From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Tuesday, June 14th. The entire state of Indiana is under an excessive heat warning today. Heat advisories are in effect for most of the state through at least Wednesday. A record-breaking heat is headed our way. Record high for today is June 14th, 94 degrees from 1954. Conditions will be miserable with high humidity values, peak heat index values over 105 degrees. It's important to reiterate from our Storm Track 8 team, they say the last time that Indianapolis saw high temps over 95 was September of 2013. This kind of hot weather is not typical for us, and it's important for you to stay hydrated and limit your time outdoors. The highs will soar into the mid to upper 90s, but again, it is going to feel well into those triple digits today. Because of that, Mayor Joe Hogsett will address this extreme heat today in a news conference this morning. Hogsett and IMPD's Emergency Management Division will discuss public safety measures. He'll also talk about free resources for people who need relief from the soaring temperatures. It's set for 9:30, so if you're listening to this podcast after that time, then you can find it on wishtv.com. We are having a crew there, and we'll bring it to you live on Wish TV. If you're listening to this before 9:30 as it happens, you can stream it live on wishtv.com, also through our News 8 app. But again, if you missed that 9:30, you can find it right now at wishtv.com. Several cooling centers will be open around the state today to help people beat the heat. We've got a list on our website. Go to wishtv.com and you can find a cooling center near you. A local athletic trainer is urging parents to pay closer attention to children while playing sports in the heat. Jamie Gordon says kids have a tendency to keep going so the heat can catch up to them quickly. Gordon says there are signs you can look for to know if your child might be in danger. Gordon says you should get your child in the shade or inside as soon as possible if you think they're in danger of overheating. He also recommends ice cream and slushies to cool off. And we turn to IT Mate and the major test of the Midwest electrical grid. A Carmel-based operator that manages electricity for millions of people in the region is questioning if electric companies have enough power to meet demand. The company MISO buys electricity for their members like AES and Duke. It recently said emergency conditions existed in the Midwest, though that refers to any conditions other than normal. A Duke spokesperson tells IT Mate that the company has upgraded equipment, but there are circumstances out of their control.
May have a need under certain circumstances to tell a utility, our utilities in the region, to reduce the demand on the system in order to protect the electric grid.
The Indiana Office of Energy Development told IT Mate that the electric grid is at an increased risk of needing additional resources. And today's hot weather has the Indianapolis Urban League canceling its food and meal distribution. It'll now happen next Tuesday at the Sam H. Jones Center on Indiana Avenue at 10 in the morning. The last food distribution event is still scheduled for June 28th. And the extreme heat is pausing horse racing at Shelbyville's racetrack today. Horseshoe Indianapolis announced the decision, saying the casino believes canceling is in everyone's best interest and that safety is always the first priority. A large waste management building fire is out in Noblesville hours after it started. It says the fire broke out at 3:45 this morning on Greenfield Avenue, according to the fire department. Firefighters say someone saw the smoke from the road and called 911. A division chief tells us that firefighters finally got it under control around 6:30 this morning. Firefighters say nobody was hurt. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is zeroing in on Donald Trump's family and closest advisors and the dismantling of his election fraud claims. In its second hearing yesterday, there was more showing of gripping testimony from former Attorney General Bill Barr. He questioned if Trump had become detached from reality. He told the panel that Trump began pushing the false claims before looking at any evidence.
Right out of the box on election night, the president claimed that there was major fraud underway. I mean, this happened, as far as I could tell, before there was actually any potential of looking at evidence. And it seemed to be based on the dynamic that at the end of the evening, a lot of Democratic votes came in, which changed the vote counts in certain states. And that seemed to be the basis for this broad claim that there was major fraud. And I didn't think much of that because people had been talking for weeks and everyone understood for weeks that that was going to be what happened on election night.
Advisors said Trump increasingly relied on conspiracy theories pushed by lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. Trump campaign manager Bill Stepien told the committee Giuliani was urging a declaration of victory on election night despite warnings it was way too early. Stepien also said Giuliani was definitely intoxicated that night.
I didn't mind being categorized. There were two groups of, we called them kind of my team and Rudy's team. I didn't mind being characterized as being part of Team Normal. And I think along the way, I've built up a pretty good, I hope, a good reputation for being honest and professional. And I didn't think what was happening was necessarily honest or professional at that point in time. So that led to me stepping away.
Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, also said in taped testimony that he tried to steer Trump away from Giuliani. Multiple former officials also spoke to the specific claims and about Dominion voting machines switching votes, saying there was no evidence to believe that. The next hearing is set for tomorrow morning. Indiana Republican Senator Todd Young may support the bipartisan gun safety proposal being written in the Senate. Young's office says he supports the discussions and thinks Congress can take steps to adopt red flag laws and bolster mental health resources. His office adds Young is still reviewing the proposals. Senator Mike Braun's office says he wants to see a draft of the law before making any comments. A volunteer with Moms Demand Action says the point of the deal is to curb gun violence.
When someone expresses a fear that their legally owned, responsibly stored gun is going to be taken away from them, I would show them here's the proposals. In what category do you see a gun being removed from your home?
No gun law has been filed yet based on the deal. It still needs to go through the legislative process. Fears of a recession are mounting this morning as U.S. stocks plunge into a bear market. There's growing anxiety among investors over the Fed's response to inflation. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is set to release the Producer Price Index later this morning. The S&P 500 sank more than 20% below the record set earlier this year. The Dow dropped nearly 3% and the Nasdaq dropped nearly 5%. Some economists are predicting that the Fed will hike interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point for the first time in 28 years. Federal records show U.S. regulators did not inspect any of the big three baby formula producers in 2020 due to the pandemic. The Associated Press reports as COVID swept the country, the FDA pulled most of its safety inspectors from the field and skipped thousands of routine inspections. Typically, the FDA inspects baby formula manufacturers each year, but it's only required every 3 to 5 years. After a 2-year inspection gap and a warning, Abbott's Michigan plant was finally shut down for months over contamination issues, contributing to a nationwide baby formula shortage. An inquiry into the FDA's handling of the Sturgis plant has now been launched. And more baby formula is on its way from overseas. 9 Operation Fly Formula flights are scheduled to land this week with 4 million containers of product. 8 of the flights are coming from London, carrying Kindemilf infant formula. The brand will be sent to Target stores across the country. The 9th flight is carrying Bub's Australia infant formula. Families can find that in Walmart, Albertsons, and Kroger stores. And Plainfield police are warning people to watch out for a phone scam involving jury duty. Officers say the scammers call and pretend to be the police department. They say you missed jury duty and need to pay a $1,000 fine. Then the scammers threaten that people will be charged with a crime if they don't pay. Plainfield police say they will never call and ask for money. The department also doesn't oversee jury duty. If you or someone you know has fallen victim to this, police ask you to call 317-839-8700. And extreme flooding in and around Yellowstone National Park has forced it to close. Heavy rain and a rapidly melting snowpack are being blamed for washing out roads and bridges in the area. The worst damage is in the northern section. The National Weather Service says the Yellowstone River crested almost 14 feet in that area, breaking the record from 1918 by more than 2 feet. The rushing waters have undercut riverbanks, forcing homes to collapse and threatening others. It's not clear how many visitors have been forced to leave the park or how many people who live nearby have been rescued and evacuated. Weather officials say cooler temperatures will lessen the snowmelt in the coming days, so maybe some relief there. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.